We heard earlier in the show about how important Social Security is to voters, but also how nervous people are that the program will run out of money. Our next guest runs the Social Security Administration. He joins us to talk about those issues, a new report highlighting a record backlog of open cases his workers are trying to handle, and so much more. I want to welcome Social Security Commissioner Martin O'Malley. Today marks 89 years since the agency was founded. Good morning to you.
Hey, Andrew, how are you? Thanks a lot for having me.
We appreciate you being here 89 years in. Of course, I think the big question or the cloud that hangs over the whole idea of Social Security is 89 years from now, whether it'll actually be still here.
Yeah, Social Security is a remarkably ingenious and at its core an elegantly simple program. It is a pay-as-you-go program, and as long as Americans are working, Social Security will be able to pay those benefits. And while there's been a lot of talk about the so-called, the depletion event, the benefit shortfall in 2035, there's another crisis that's already here. And that is due to the fact that Congress has reduced Social Security staffing to a 50-year low, Andrew, even as the number of customers we serve climbs every day to a new record high. So we're doing a lot of good things on the anniversary of this 89th anniversary, but we have huge challenges and a lot of really good people, though, tackling them head on.
So, but just speak to this cliff, this 2035. I'm calling it a cliff. It sounds like you're saying that as long as people are working, there's going to be money for this. But when you look at the math, it doesn't necessarily reflect that.
Yeah, the cliff, so-called, would be a 17% reduction in benefits if Congress doesn't act as they have before in order to make the adjustments to avoid that. There was some good news that happened just a couple months ago, and that is what you call a cliff, what I would call a 17% reduction in benefits, was actually pushed off another year into 2035 from 2034 due to better than expected job creation and also wages that are rising not just for the top 6% of Americans, but all across the board. So that was a little bit of positive news. But your point is absolutely true. Congress needs to act in order to avoid that shortfall because half of seniors living alone live entirely on Social Security. Right. So this is a big policy question that needs to be tackled by the policymakers. In the meantime, we have a customer service crisis here and now, and we are tackling that. But Congress needs to do a better job of putting adequate staffing in place at Social Security.
I want to talk about the staffing, but I have a larger sort of policy question, and it's about the compact that Social Security has with the American public. For many years, there's been a debate about whether Social Security should be means tested and whether you could actually extend the longevity of Social Security if, in fact, it was means tested. We've had folks like Ken Langone who have made an enormous amount of money over the years say, you know what, I don't need my Social Security check. There are other people who say, you know what, I put the money in, I expect to get the money out. What do you think?
Yeah, well, I've met Mr. Langone, and he should feel free to send his money back and we'll put it in the trust fund. One of the things that makes Social Security in a time of deep division and polarization in our country so remarkable is that 80% of Americans believe it, regardless of their political affiliation, believe that Social Security should be strengthened and should be extended and indeed even, and benefits should be better than they are. Right now, Andrew, there is already in the formula a way of making sure that those that are in the lowest earning quintiles of the American public actually receive a better benefit than those at the top. And I'm sure that there are policy considerations that people in Congress will have about those benefits, but the truth of the matter is that the fix to Social Security and the 17% shortfall can be pretty straightforward. If people like Mr. Langone would continue to pay into Social Security, instead of being done with their Social Security obligations in the beginning of the year, that would greatly extend the strength of Social Security. In other words, right now, Andrew, all of us pay up to $168,600 of our income. But after that, no dollar ever has to pay anything into Social Security. So that means people like Mr. Ligon or Warren Buffett stop paying into Social Security within the first 30 seconds of the new year, while most of us pay for the entire year. So, and there are proposals out there. I mean, look,
it's a tax increase no matter how you put it, whether you increase the amount of money they put in the future or the amount of money that they don't get out in the future. It's really a question of how you think about it, perhaps.
Well, it's also the math, and we have great actuaries. I mean, if you look at, for example, if, Ken Ligon and Warren Buffett did not receive a Social Security benefit, that would not have anywhere near the impact in terms of the actual math and the support for the program that actually extending their payments into Social Security would for all of their income. And there are proposals out there to do that. The actuarial math is there. What's not there yet is the political will to tackle a challenging issue like this. But, everything has its season and everything has its time. And I believe from my conversations with lots of people on both sides of the aisle on Capitol Hill is that there's the will to actually examine this and extend it for many, many years to come.
Well, let's say, on the 89th anniversary of Social Security, how would you reimagine this program? Because right now it is structured as a tax. So there is no expectation necessarily that a young person today paying into Social Security through their FICA taxes will get that money back or will get all of the money they put into the program back. Should we look at it more like, I don't want to say an investment fund, but something like that where there is some sort of understanding that you will get that money back as opposed to paying it in as a tax?
Well, when I was in college, all of us said it wouldn't be there for us either, but it is because of the way the program is structured. There have been some policy proposals to talk about, on an arbitrage, and the policy questions are things that people in Congress will have to resolve. From my perspective, and looking at the 89-year history of this program, what makes it so stable is also the thing that makes it so popular, that people pay in and that there is a benefit that comes back. And that benefit will be there for young people as well. But Congress needs to make actuarial adjustments from time to time, because the last time they did it was 1982. And in hindsight, what they did was really to give the wealthiest people a break on what they pay into Social Security. And that's honestly what advanced what you called the cliff, what I would call the depletion event. That's what advanced it sooner rather than later. But it can be fixed. It's a pretty straightforward fix. And there are other things like the one you mentioned that some people on Capitol Hill are interested in exploring as well.